This session will give a quick overview of how to change things. So how to make a directory and how to make a file, for example. Alright, so first, where am I in my file system? So I'm going to use the pwd command, print working directory, press enter, and it shows me that I'm in my home directory. I now would like to make a directory for a calculation I would like to do. However, I do not want to make this in my home directory. I want to make this in a more appropriate directory, and that is the scratch directory. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have to change where I would like to create the directory. And so I'm going to change directory, cd, and I'm going to scratch user and then username. Okay, so now I'm in my scratch directory, and so I can do an ls to see what's there, and it shows me that I've already got some directories there where I've used them for calculations before. However, I want to create a new one for a calculation I would like to do. And so I'm going to make a new directory that will be called calculation1. So how do we make a directory? We use the command mkdir, which is short for make directory, and then enter space, and I want to call this directory called calculation1. I'll do a dash, easier. So I'm making a directory that's called calculation-1. I should say that you have to be careful with names. You can use letters and you can use numbers. It's not advisable to use a space, for example, space 1, because Unix doesn't understand spaces in names, and it does some weird things. So if I would have a space there, it wouldn't actually make that directory. So you have to be very careful in using spaces unless you know exactly what you're doing. Please do not use spaces. You should also not have certain symbols in there, like for example have a $sign at the start or a hash or things like this, because some of these will mean something in particular or very specific in the Unix system. So the best way and the most safest way is to stick to letters, to numbers, and then a dash or an underscore, for example. So they are good ones as well. So I'm going to use calculation-1, and if I now press enter, let's see what happens. So I do an ls, and there we are, right as the first one listed is calculation-1. Alright, so that's how I make a directory. Now I'm going to change into that directory, calculation-1. And if I do an ls, it shows me it's empty because I haven't put anything in there. So now I would like to create an input file, and for this you will use the editor Nano. So I type Nano space, and then again the name of the file I would like to use, and I'm going to use input-1 in line with my calculation-1. And if I now press enter, it opens the Nano editor. And the nice thing about Nano is that it actually tells you right on the bottom the different shortcuts of what you would like to do, like to write a file, to exit the file, and things like this. Okay, so now I would like to enter something into this file, and for this I just have to type. And so I can do max 10 enter to get a new line, min 2, and then step 2. Okay, so I've basically giving it the maximum of a range, the minimum of a range, and I'm going to given it the step size I would like to use. So now I would like to write the file and save the file. So if you now look at the bottom, and so there's different options. There's the get help, the exit, and then the write out, which is the one I would like to use now. And you will see write out, and then in front of it there's a funny hat thing in front of an O. And that funny hat thing means control. And so that doesn't actually mean the hat sign over the 6, but it means to use the control. And if you look on your keyboard, the control will have a little hat above it as well if you find that key on your keyboard. So you basically have to press Control and then O. And when I do this, it shows me and comes up with file name to write. So now I've actually get an option to change the file name if I wanted to, but I would like to leave it as it is. And so I'm going to press enter, and now it's telling me in the middle of the bottom part saying that it wrote 3 lines. Okay, so now I've written my file. Now I would like to exit the file, and to do that I look on the bottom left corner, and again there's the hat sign and the X for exit, and again this means the control key on your keyboard, and then holding that down and then pressing the X, and that exits the file. Now I would like to check that indeed I've written this input file, so I'm going to use the cat command and then input -1. I press enter, and there it is. So there are the 3 lines I have written to my file. So to create a new directory that doesn't exist before, you use the make directory command, mkdir for make directory. And if you would like to open and edit a file, you can use the editor Nano.